What's up, you guys? Welcome back. Today I wanted to sit down and kind of just play around with what I'm thinking for my wedding makeup. I'm going to be doing my makeup for my wedding myself. I got a lot of questions about that, but I will be doing it myself. And I just wasn't 100% sure on what I'd want to do. So I thought I would do a series where I kind of just do a bunch of different makeup trials on myself. Kind of like what you would do if you had a professional makeup artist doing it for you. I figured I could just play around with the different ideas here on YouTube and you guys could help me decide which one I like the best. So this is the first look that I came up with. I do have another video on my channel for like a bridal look. If you want to check that out, I'll link it down below. I posted it last year. It's a little bit different than this one, similar tones. Yeah, this is what I came up with and I'm loving it. Let me know what other makeup tutorials for brides that you'd like to see down below in the comments. I hope you enjoy this tutorial. I'm gonna walk you through it step by step. Please subscribe and let's get started. I do have a spray tan on right now and it's developing. It's like freshly put on. I normally don't put makeup on over a tan that I've like just put on, but I don't have time. So I'm actually not going to prime. I don't want to like rub it all in, but if I were going to prime, I would use the Hourglass Veil Primer. This is my favorite primer. Recently, I started using this one for Makeup Forever. It's the Fresh Brightener Primer. I have been liking it. I think I'd have to like use it enough to see, but I think that in these trials that I'll be doing, we'll see if this ends up being a contender. So I'm not gonna prime today, but that's what I would use if I primed. So I'm kind of contemplating on whether or not I even want to wear foundation on my wedding day. A lot of times I like just going in with concealer and spot concealing on my face. My last tutorial, I show exactly that, how you can still get a full glam look and it still looks cohesive without wearing foundation. But I do want to experiment with the possibility of wearing foundation. So I'm going to use a couple of my different favorites throughout the next couple months and see exactly what I feel like doing. So today I'm going to be using the Makeup Forever Reboot Foundation, and this is one of my favorite foundations. And just start applying this on the skin. This is the most perfect color when I have on a tan or I am naturally tan. I got so tan last summer. And that's when I got this shade, and it was like the only foundation I used for a couple months because it was the only thing that worked with my natural tan. So I'm just working it into the skin, doing these little stippling motions. I've also been experimenting with self-tanner just to see what exactly it is that I like. Also paying attention to how it fades so that I know like what day would be the best day to do my self-tan. Also gonna go get airbrush tanned soon and we'll see how that looks. I'm sure it's gonna look 10 times better than me applying it myself. Lately, I have been layering the Sosu Dripping in Gold Tan in the deepest shade with the Loving Tan 2 Hour Express in dark. The Sosu is really like golden and then the Loving Tan is pretty red toned. Those two mixed together gives such a natural looking tan on me. It's very similar to like how I would tan naturally because I'll tan and I'll get like that warmth, but I pull a little bit more red when I get like burnt or just tan from the sun in general. It just gives me this very natural looking deep dark tan that I'm looking for. It feels very like thick right now and I think it's just because I've got that tan marinating underneath. I go tomorrow for my second hair trial. I'm just going to like a couple different people just to see what style I like the best and who I like vibe with the best and whatever. I'm gonna go to the Pat McGrath concealer because I am tan right now and this is my darkest concealer in the shade 9. It's still gonna be pretty bright. Grab my Sigma F03 brush, my favorite brush for concealer. I'm just gonna blend this in. I'm not breaking out anywhere right now and I don't have any like extra redness or anything, so this is pretty much just mainly gonna focus underneath my eyes. I also can't have someone else do my makeup because I am the worst makeup client. My eyes water so bad. Could never have someone else do my makeup because I'd end up ruining it by being a dangus. Just whatever's left over on my brush, I'm bringing it here and here just because it is slightly lighter. I don't really need the coverage. I just want to balance that out. I'm going to go into the Auric Glow Lust in the color Selenite. I'm going to go in with like a little half a pump. I'm going to use this Real Techniques brush, work it into the brush because this goes on so pigmented. You barely need anything. So I'm going to try to work it into the brush so I don't apply so much at one time and just kind of stipple it. There we go. the light hit there. Just really focus there. Also, with whatever's left over on this, I'm gonna bring it right above the eyebrow here. Blend that in with my foundation brush. I'm also gonna bring it down the center of the nose. I don't know if I wanna do cream bronzer or not on my wedding day. I think I'm gonna skip it today, but I don't know. I can't see myself not using Fenty Macchiato. We'll see. I'm gonna set my face, do the whole routine, Makeup Forever H104 underneath the eyes. I'll probably dab a little bit into the darker shade here just because I have my tan on. And then of course using the Laura Mercier translucent powder on all of my oily areas. I'm gonna go in with a light layer of this, like over here on the cheeks, just so when I lay on the powder, dusts over. I don't know, I don't do that all the time, so I'm just kind of playing today. So I'm gonna go into bronzer. I'm gonna use my favorite bronzer, which is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush bronzer. I have the shade number 2 or a medium, and I love applying this with the Charlotte Tilbury brush. So I'm gonna go in, I need to actually get more of this. So I have this in tan as well. You can see the color differences. I think because I have on my spray tan right now, I'm gonna mix them together because this is a little too deep for me, but this is kind of like, I don't know, I don't think it's gonna be dark enough. So I'm gonna just dab a little bit into the tan. Yes, that is a very nice color. Nice little beautiful mixture. So mainly the medium and a little dab of the tan. I think my bronzer's all on. Let me just make sure I don't have any like weird empty spots. And now it's time for contour, which I'm going to leave this tan bronzer out because I think I'm gonna mix my contour in with that because all of my contour shades are pretty cool toned, which can end up looking like dirt on me because it looks just too cool toned for the undertones and stuff that I'm working with right now. I'm just gonna mix my S116 powder with the tan bronzer and see how that looks. So I'm gonna use my S116 brush from Smith, mix those together, and then I'm holding far back because I don't want too much. And I'm just gonna wiggle it back here. I'm gonna add a little bit of a shadow, a little bit more drama, and then feather it upwards. Do the same thing up on the sides of my temples very lightly. I actually don't know if that was necessary. Now that I'm looking at it, kind of brought too much cool up there, so just have to remember that. Okay, and then do the same thing for my jawline. I feel so like slimy because I've got that tan on underneath. I'm mixing that tan color with my NYX 3 Steps to Sculpt because it's my favorite nose contour powder. Barely any of that tan though. I don't want my nose contour to be like too intense. So I like to look down. I'm using a Luxie 182 brush. I flip this upside down and I go along here. I'm gonna go really lightly because I can tend to go crazy with my nose contour and then it looks crazy. Connecting it into my brow. It helps me to look down so I can see where I want to contour. Anytime I blend out my nose contour, I actually like to blend it towards the center where you're actually wanting the light color to go. And that's because for the majority of the nose contour application, I'm avoiding that area. And then when I go to blend it, I don't want to blend it too far down here because that's just going to widen the nose. If you've already got it pretty much blended and you just need that extra harshness gone, actually blend it inwards and you're going to go back in and re-highlight anyway. So as long as you're not like bringing so much deepness right onto the center, this will just help you blend out without widening the nose. I'm going to bring a little bit of contour around the lips here. Blend that out. I'm gonna grab a little bit of my Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, brighten up the sides of the nose. You can really let this sit if you want it to be like extra bright, but I don't want it to be too bright because then it's gonna be too bright on my face. I'm bringing it here so it can kind of just emphasize the contour. Just make sure you dust it off after because it looks like you've been doing drugs otherwise. Also gonna take this right here because I get so oily right there, right in between my eyebrows. Now dust that away. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of powder highlight. This is the Film Star Bronze and Glow palette from Charlotte Tilbury. I'm just gonna pop that there and then blend it out. I'm just gonna add a little bit of this highlight on top of the Auric highlighter For blush, pretty sure these are the blushes I'm gonna use. My favorite blush ever is Peaches from MAC. And I think I'm gonna mix Peaches with Gingerly, which is the shade here. But I'm gonna start with Peaches on its own and kind of just like see what happens. I'm using a Sigma F40 right on the apple of the cheek. And then I'm gonna hop into Gingerly, pop that on the back part of the cheek. You don't need two blushes. I just, you know, I'm experimenting today. I also like to carry this throughout the face just to make everything be very cohesive. I'm feeling very bright down here, so I'm just tapping over with whatever's left over my bronzer brush. Time for brows. I'm going to use my Perfect Brow Pencil from Anastasia in the shade Medium Brown. I'm gonna use that first just to give me an overall base for the brows, and then I'll go in with something smaller if I need it for any detail work. So I'm just gonna start here, fill it in. The tail. I push up as I go just to blend it out. I'm gonna grab a smaller one, probably the Hourglass Arch Brow Pencil. What shade do I have? Dark Brunette. I'm gonna use this to create the brow hairs up front so that it wasn't so blurred, because I feel like that bigger pencil makes it more blurred, which makes it very easy just to fill in the entirety of the brow. But just for more detail work, I wanna go in with something smaller. I'm gonna go in and prime my eyeballs with the Painterly Paint Pot from MAC. This actually is probably gonna go on pretty freaking bright because I'm not this color right now, but I'm still gonna do it. Pop in with my finger. You can use concealer to prime. You can do no primer. Sometimes I won't wear primer, and I like the way that my natural oils actually mix with eyeshadow and it can look really pretty. On my wedding day though, I feel like I won't want that. So I'm just gonna prime really good. This is actually working out just because I'm going in with a sheer layer. I'm not going in with too much, so it doesn't look too incredibly bright. I'm gonna set that with just a little bit of powder before going in with eyeshadow. And I do this because if you put eyeshadow right on top of a sticky base, it will pick up the most pigment right where you put your eyeshadow brush on your eye. I'm probably gonna bounce between a couple of different eyeshadow palettes just because I have favorites from each palette. That's honestly probably what I would do that day anyway, so I'm just kind of figuring out what it is that I wanna do. And I'm going to be bouncing between these three palettes. This is from Makeup Geek. I'll put my discount code down below or on the screen, just Brianna Fox for 10% off. I'm an affiliate with them. You can use that if you want. You can buy all of these individually or the whole palette itself. And then these are my other two favorites, Tarte Maneater and ColourPop Going Coconuts. This is one of my favorite makeup looks ever. You're not gonna be surprised. It's like a very typical look for me, but this one right here, this is from spring of 2019. I did a very like blown out smoky eye, all matte. And I loved my lashes. I kind of want to try that today, but add some cool tones because I know what I used there. I used only the Maneater palette and I put Saucy like all over. So I don't know. I feel like that's going to be a little too smoky for me right now. So I don't know what I want to do. I'm going to mix two shades together. I'm being annoying right off the bat. I am going to mix Creme Brulee and Honey Badger from Makeup Geek together. More of the Creme Brulee than the Honey Badger because that's pretty warm. So I'm gonna take that right here in the crease, just lightly working it in, and I'm holding pretty far down on my brush because I don't want to add too much at once. I'm also slightly bringing this into the nose contour. I'm also gonna mix those together and pop that underneath and connect the whole thing. You already know I'm gonna do like a very rounded, blown out look because it's my wedding day. Okay, I'm gonna start doing this on the other side too. Just start blending that, connecting to the nose contour, wrapping it around and underneath. I always try to go in with less than I think I need because I can always add more and build up the look rather than going too ham right off the bat and adding way too much. So now I'm just building up. I'm adding only the Honey Badger right now just to add a little bit of the warmth. Then the Creme Brulee alone just to blend at the edges. This side looks a little crazy. I even bring it like out into the temple, like past the brow. I'm gonna go into a little bit of a smaller brush and I'm gonna hop over into the Maneater palette and grab Saucy. I'm gonna show you Honey Badger next to that so you can see the color difference. I guess it's kind of in between her and Saucy in this palette. So I'm gonna grab Saucy. Want to work this on the outer lid and outer crease area. So I'm gonna first stamp it right here. I want to start adding this depth in, and this is like one of my favorite eyeshadow shades. Just really pushing that on. And then once the majority of it is off my brush and it's on my eyeball, then I can gradually push it more inwards into the inner part and upwards as well. Adding a little bit more to bring this further in, just stamping it on. Going in with that first brush to blend this out. Just kind of blending this towards the front there. Continuing to add more over here to this outer area and then blending. I'm also going to take that Saucy shade on this brush, really tap out the extra. I'm going to look upwards into my mirror and really push this right underneath at the lashes, mainly on the outer part. And then once the majority is off, I'm going to carry that all the way over here. Really wrap that around. To make this really blown out, now that the majority of the product is off of this brush, I'm going to really take that and extend it and then carry it into the upper. Adding just like a hint of that honey badger right here. Whew, that made my blue eye just like, I think I'm going to go in with a little baby brush and I'm going to pick up Midnight, this shade here, and I'm gonna pop this right on the outer lash line on the top here and just stamp it and have it kind of like disappear. And I'm just lightly kind of blending it out. Let me go in with like a little fluffy brush and I'm gonna grab Saucy and just kind of go over it. You probably might not notice the difference that made, but I do. I'm gonna do it one more time, just do another layer, make it a little bit smokier. Just kind of flick it upwards and go in with that little baby brush with Saucy. Just blend. With that same brush, I'm bringing Saucy down here again just because it is a little bit smaller than the brush I used initially, so it'll be a little bit more pigmented down here. Okay, yes, very unnecessary, but I'm doing it anyways. I can see a difference. I'm grabbing a hint of Cheetah Bear from Makeup Geek on this brush. The teeniest amount. I'm just gonna stamp this in here to add like the tiniest hint of warmth. It's like almost just like a warmy, ready, orangey right there. I'm gonna take this brush, the one I've been using just to blend in stuff. I'm gonna take the color Passion, this one right here, and very lightly tap into the fluffy brush with this. And I'm going to lay this flat and just pop it right there on the inner part of the lid. I don't want too much of this though because it's very brightening and I like the color of my skin, but it's just going to pop a little bit of brightness in here and make the other shades pop. I don't even want to put it all over my lid, just like right here, because then I can go in with one of the other fluffy brushes that I've been using and kind of like blend them together here. So we have that fade. I'm mixing Saucy and Midnight together on this brush. I'm going to push and flick up here. I'm gonna go in with a little bit more Honey Badger just to really brighten up under here. By brighten up, I mean like brighten up because it is a little bit warmer and brighter than any of the other browns. And I think because I have my tan on, I feel like some of the stuff is fading a little bit more. So I'm gonna bring this a little bit up here as well. Okay, I'm gonna grab Saucy on its own on a precise brush. This is an E15 from Sigma, and I'm gonna really concentrate that at the lash line. When you do this, it's gonna look the darkest it will ever look because you're using a more precise brush. Even though I have this color all over my eye everywhere, it looks almost like the Midnight shade just because I focused it so harshly with this brush. I don't like to go in with my deepest shade on the bottom lash line just because it will go or just appear even deeper when you go in with such a concentrated brush. So I'll wiggle it where I need it, where I want it. That's the case for me. And that Midnight shade is actually making this look a little cooler toned up top. I am going to grab my nude liner from Makeup by Mario, pop this in my waterline. Now you could go in with Lace from this palette. It's a beautiful shade and it's very similar to the one that I'm gonna use, but I'm gonna hop back over into the Charlotte Tilbury little duo and use that highlighter on the inner corner and the brow bone. You don't have to like hop all over, but this is my favorite highlighter ever, so I'm gonna use it. Just gonna take this little brush right here and pop this just right here on the inner corner, the inner tear duct area. I'm gonna take it right up on the brow bone. You don't want to bring it all the way in over here because otherwise it's a little 90s. You can brighten that area, but I would go in with something that's not too shimmery. Taking that there, and then go in with your fluffy brush and just blend that out. I'm just gonna go into my Makeup Geek mascara. I'm just going in with a light to medium layer. I'm not trying to make sure that they're lifted or crazy dramatic. I just want to make sure they're coated. So I'm gonna try these today. These are my favorites. They're from Velour, but I think that they're discontinued because they came out with like a whole new line. These are the Here to Slay lashes from Velour. I'm gonna pop these on. So they're kind of fading a little bit. You can see they're not as bright as before. So I'm gonna go in with my Velour lash applicator and pop this on. Really get the center, then I get the outer, and then I secure the inner. And then once they're on, I'll go in and sandwich them with my real lashes. Just make sure you don't get your skin here because I've pinched my skin before doing this and it is not fun. So yeah, these are definitely very dramatic lashes. I don't know if I'll actually end up wearing these on my wedding day because now that I'm looking at them, I'm like, damn, those are some lashes. I want to try Dream Girl from Anastasia. Those are another pair of my favorite lashes, but I might end up doing just individuals, but we'll see. I'm gonna go into the MAC Extended Play mascara and pop them on the bottom. Right now I feel so weird because the upper lashes are so dramatic, but you just wait. I always have to go in with a lot of mascara on the bottom, especially when I do dramatic lashes on the top, because then it just really balances it out. It opens up the eye. So now it's not so top heavy. It's very balanced. For lips, I don't know what I want to do. It's obviously it's between like the 5 million neutral beigey nude lips colors that I normally do. Okay, so this is Oak from MAC. It is my favorite lip liner ever. I'm gonna take this and pop it right here, a little underneath the lip line. And I just rock back and forth to really build up the color because the formula of the MAC lip pencils suck actually, but they don't really bleed at all. And if you just really rock it back and forth, you can go from like a light pigment to a deeper pigment. So that's just what I'm working on here. And then just blending it on the lip. And then I'm gonna do the outer corner and the top and all that. Okay, blending it in with my finger. And now I'm gonna go in with Cork from MAC. It is a deeper brown. And I'm gonna work on the edges just because I think with my tan right now, that was really difficult to actually get the line that I wanted. So I actually didn't really overline much at the Cupid's bow because it was tricky to see it. So I'm gonna do that with this. When you're using your lip liners, make sure you use the entirety of the pencil, not just the tip of the pencil, because if you just use the tip of the pencil, it's gonna be a little difficult to fill it in. When if you lay it on its side, especially when you're like dragging like this, it's going to do a lot of the work for you. I'm gonna go in and kind of blur that with the Oak. I love to use lip pencils mainly because they last the longest. Okay, I'm gonna do Tom Ford first time, my favorite. Just tap it. I'm adding a little bit of my Tweety from MAC because I just can't not use 5 million lipsticks. Now I'm going to add Fly Girl because it gives a sheen and I don't want them totally matte. I do think they look a little cool toned and I would like a little bit of warmth. I'm adding a little bit of Spice from MAC that's a little bit warmer of a pencil. You probably couldn't notice a difference step to step with the different lip products I use, but I definitely don't apply that many on the day of. I have to kind of figure out what lip concoction I really do want to do. This is the look. You guys, I love this. If I could just copy and paste this on my wedding day, I would be a happy camper. My last wedding tutorial, which I will link down below, actually didn't like the look. I mean, it was pretty. It was beautiful. It was just very classic bridal. It just wasn't me. I think a lot of you guys will actually like that look much more than this one because this is just me in a makeup look. This is bridal me in a makeup look. I feel myself in this look. I feel good in this look. So I don't know. I feel like this is a bridal look for a lot of people, but I think most people are gonna want some kind of shimmer on their lid. If you are that person, Grandstand from Makeup Geek would be the perfect color. It's like the perfect bridal lid shade for most people that are a light to medium skin tone. If you have a deeper skin tone, or if you want a more bronzy look, that darker shimmery shade from the Makeup by Mario Master Metallics, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I'll link to my other bridal look down below, and then let me know what other kind of bridal looks you want to see, because this is definitely, I know, like not everyone's cup of tea, but it's literally my cup of tea. But yeah, this is the final look. I love it. I feel very much myself in it, and on my wedding day, I'm probably gonna just pull up this tutorial and watch it just to see and remember exactly what I did. I'm actually really loving this foundation too, even with my self tan underneath it marinating. That is definitely something that I might switch, possibly, depending, I don't know, we'll see. The eye combo, 100%, that's what I want to do. I'm actually really loving this lip combo. I just have to tweak it just so that I'm not using a million things. Love the cheeks and everything I used there. I'm actually surprised because I thought for sure I would want to use the Fenty Macchiato cream bronzer, which I still might, but if I am this tan, that might actually be too light, so I don't know. But yeah, this was really fun to play around, and I've just been in the wedding planning mood. If you want to see my little Q&A on like the wedding and get an update and stuff like that, if it's already up, I'll link it down below. That's it, you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me today and letting me kind of just brainstorm this look with you. Let me know what other wedding bride makeup look tutorial ideas you'd like to see down below. And that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.